Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the beautiful Kyber Empire. It's great to be in the Empire today, and welcome to our first 2024 all 3v3 teams ranked from best to worst. I know 3v3 might not be your favorite cup of tea, but you gotta admit this, whether you love it or hate it. I think there's so much more variety involved in 3v3 Grand Arena, and I'm excited for all the fun, excitement, and rage that we're about to have in this 3v3 Grand Arena season. I want to make sure we kind of update our list in our new massive spreadsheet we've been compiling over the past couple months for the variety of game modes to get you a good starting point on how to get ready for this 3v3 Grand Arena season. It's starting here in just a few short moments, so get your defenses set. I don't have mine set, but before we get set on our way here, I just want to give you guys a big massive thank you. Last time we did this in June 2023. Not many teams have come to fruition since last time, but nonetheless, thank you for the 2.6 billion views and the 76 billion, oh, the other way around, 76 billion views and the 2.6 billion likes. Greatly appreciate it, and I'm hoping this is going to continue to be a fantastic resource to help you guys get up and running. But this is honestly one of the biggest challenging videos that really, for Galaxy Reels, it's one of the most challenging things to make because there is so much variety. There's so many different rosters, so many different strategies on your side from offense and defense, so many different strategies from your opponent on offense, defense, Omicrons, mods, and gosh forbid, Datacrons. There's so much variety, and I've always been asked by people if I can just try to keep it simple, just show like the best teams, only use everything once, but I am going to do a few duplicate teams that I think are important if you don't have the Galactic Legend or you don't have a Conquest unit. I think there's important key distinctions involved with this. And if you ever need more resources here, I mean, honestly, we have our Zeta rankings, we have our Omicron rankings, and if you need more team recommendations, I leave a link here. This is there's not many better resource than swh.gg. It's a constantly self-updating, metric-driven tool to help you guys get as good as you possibly can inside of Grand Arena. So you can go by individual seasons, you can go inside the 3v3 counters, you can look at the top squads in general, and you're gonna see there's, you know, a rough correlation between this and myself as well, because, you know, I've experienced this firsthand. So let's just get into our spreadsheet that we have here. So you can see we have our 5v5 team rankings, we did our character rankings not too long ago, and now we have a 3v3 Grand Arena tab here. Everything's kind of the same. I give individual points depending on how good you are in offense, how good you are in defense, what their overall rank is, what their overall tier is going to be, and minimum Omicrons required. And I think the next time, especially we do the 5v5 teams rank update, we're going to leave probably an extra tab that shows the actual name of the minimum Omicron that's going to be required. So link down below if you want to go ahead, check out this spreadsheet yourself. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the biggest thing when it comes to 3v3, since the last time I made this video, we had one new Galactic Legend, Leia Organa. We've already experienced one Grand Arena cycle in 3v3 with Leia Organa at minimum, and it's going to be interesting seeing how we're going into this new Grand Arena season without her bonker Datacron with her and Drogon. But overall, it feels like she's definitely one of the better offensive teams in the game and the better defensive Galactic Legend as well. We'll have to wait and see with more experience this season. As I've always said, the Datacron could be skewing our perception. Right now, she feels like the best Galactic Legend overall. And then you can see the variety of rankings for the other Galactic Legends, where I feel like, you know, Jabba Master could be probably your top 3 overall Galactic Legends for Grand Arena. Rey definitely in there, more on the defensive front. And then we have our other Galactic Legend that we have that are probably going to be more offense-oriented per se. Now, of course, your opponent might not have Lord Vader counters, so the Lord Vader value is going to go so much higher. Remember, this is looking at an end game perspective, but of course, if you're early game, Lord Vader's probably amazing if you were in Carbonite or Bronze or something of that matter. So keep that in mind. But I want to kind of go over some of the newer teams as well here. 3v3, we have Terran Malicos. We've had plenty of 5v5 experience in a couple of 3v3 scenarios. We're seeing that things like Terran Malicos kind of feels sort of close to that Reva Inquisitor type of benchmark, where maybe they're not beating as much as Reva on offense, but gosh dang, we saw they were really good on defense. When we came to the 3v3 scenario, it felt like you almost needed a Galactic Legend to beat the Terran Malicos team. And then we have our other usual things, Starkiller, Darth Malgus, Dr. Aphelion. Nothing too new there, but what we do have new on this list in totality is the Bo-Katan Mandalore. But Arnold, we haven't had a 3v3 experience yet, and to that I say, you're dang right, Jimbo. This is more speculative right now where I think Bo-Katan fits. This is based off my impressions of her in 5v5 Grand Arena, the one cycle we had. She feels more of an offensive type of Galactic Legend counter off meta I should say. Defense wasn't there nearly as much. And remember, we're not taking in consideration Datacrons, because that's a whole different can of worms. Bo-Katan's obviously going to be an amazing, way more amazing than Shirley is with their massive insta-kill Datacron that you have. Word to the wise, if your opponent has Bo-Katan, which is only about 1,000 people, so most likely you watch this, don't have to worry about it. Just don't put Lord Vader down if someone's got Bo-Katan. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. Also, new to our list here, now we've had a couple 3v3 experiences and a couple 5v5 experience, and I feel like Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, again, it could be because we're being a little skewed because of the Datacrons associated with the Imperials, but so far, I've been enjoying them in 5v5 way more than 3v3. I'm beating a lot of these like Traya teams, Dr. Aphra teams, Star Killer teams. So this is actually a pretty nice space for getting to be in, especially the fact that he does not need any Omicrons. Top rate 3-3, I feel like is a little bit weaker than he is in 5v5, but nonetheless, still a very good character, being able to shut down teams that have massive tournament gains. He's incredibly durable. Again, I wish I could appreciate the team more, but I know in the back of my head, I feel like I'm being a little bit biased and skewed because the Datacron is pretty nasty. Now, again, you might be asking, Otto, that's not the best General Anakin Skywalker lineup, and you're right. Obviously, Captain Rex and 5 is the best way to go, but what I try to do here for 98% of this teams, use every character only one time and make the most best teams possible. And as we're going to see, we're doing a little bit of a clone split for 3v3. Now, General Anakin Skywalker, this is what I generally do. I do a split because Captain Rex with Captain Rex is absolutely amazing for 3v3. I hope you guys are taking advantage of that. But nonetheless, we're doing a little bit of a split. And this is plenty fine to take on things like Tuskens and whatnot. Maybe not the best defensive team, and I'm hoping this year we get some love for General Anakin Skywalker. I want him to feel kind of like, you know, a new Darth Traya-ish, Darth Malgus level team. Yeah, we gotta wait and see nonetheless. Now, Maul. Now, I know I already included Maul early on in the Lord Vader lineup, and of course, there are so many different Lord Vader Maul lineups. There's so many different Jedi Master Luke Skywalker lineups. Again, we're keeping it simple. I don't want to bog you down on like 5 million Jedi Master Luke comps, but if you don't have Lord Vader and you have Maul, you definitely got to be taking advantage of your Mandalorians here with the new Gar Saxon. Old habits, man. Gar Saxon, he doesn't suck anymore. And Super Commando with the touch of that they got. Oh my goodness gracious. This is going to be a very solid team. And if you don't have Maul, I added one more variant of the Mandalorians in case you don't have certain Conquest characters, because, you know, they take a while to get. You want to make sure you take advantage of your Mandalorians. And, you know, with Bo-Katan probably going to be taking over my Kyber neck of the woods, this might be the first time I might not be putting Lord Vader on defense. And I can maybe finally enjoy my Mandalorians, because otherwise I feel obligated to leave Maul with Lord Vader. Not a good feeling. Moving down, I want to talk about the newer stuff that we have. We know the pretty other standard stuff, Savage with Darth Revan, Zori. You guys know that at this point, with probably Zori being the best non-legendary team in the game, basically, for 3v3 especially. But we take a look at the Captain Rex split. I really recommend you guys try this out. This is a great offensive team to be utilizing to get so much turn, to have so much control over the enemies with the daze, the tenacity down, and you have the big hits with aerial advantage. Oh my gosh. This could at times punch up to as high as a beating Reva team. So this is one of those things you want to utilize. Probably not as good on defense. Qui-Gon Jinn usually cuts through it pretty fine. But if you don't have Qui-Gon Jinn, it can be kind of a tough counter to beat down. Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, he's been here for quite a while. Nothing too new that we really need to elaborate all that much about. But when we move on down the list a little bit here, we have our little Han Solo Chewbacca split. Because again, if you have Commander Luke, Han Chewie, you're probably best creating 2 solid lineups out of it. So do note that we do have the splits that you typically would see inside of 3v3 Grand Arena, pretty much no matter where you go. Added a few new things to this that I don't think I had last time in the graphic. I think it's worth putting the Padme Gideon thing on here. It's not a very defensive-oriented thing, but you know what? It's probably the cheesiest offensive tool to get through some tough things, like a Traya, like a Darth Revan. I almost feel like Padme can punch up and beat most of these teams that are above her. That's pretty crazy, and she definitely can punch down to some of these teams lower on. It's honestly one of the funniest mechanics. Padme lead, use Moff Gideon. That's why I don't have Moff Gideon with the Imperial Remnant. Moff Gideon, the Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. And then just throw in any support. It doesn't have to be Shakti. Could be Grandmaster Yoda. Could be Ayla Secura. I like to use Shakti. Again, varies per roster. I just think this is a lot better to use than a standard Padme lineup nowadays. That's kind of what I feel like. You know, that's the state of Padme. Not to say you can't use Padme, Anakin, Ahsoka. I just think you're going to get a lot more done with this. Just make sure you have a fast Gideon. to pull that off here. Again, nothing too crazy that we see here, but I do want to note a few things. I did leave a standard Inquisitor lineup, and I did leave a standard Seer Juno lineup in case you don't have Reva, Malicos, some more top shelf power. But I want to make sure if you have at least the bare bones of the team, where they kind of sit. We see these teams kind of sit inside of a Kyber threshold here. Moving along, we have ourselves the Gar Saxon lineup. Now, in case you don't have Lord Vader and you don't have Maul, you guys, man, I mean, I feel like this is definitely one of those teams that people are still kind of sleeping on a little bit. You could, if you have the right mods, primarily being Tenacity mods, we have videos on it, so feel free to check it out. Gar Saxon. Gary, I can't get it out of my system. Gar Saxon, Super Commando, can take on a full team of General Anakin Skywalker. As long as you don't get days on you, you're killing, man. And this works very well, specifically in 3-3. So take advantage of that. And if you want, you can throw in another Dark Side Mandalorian, throw in another Imperial Trooper like Magma Trooper has been a very common cause for that as well. So check it out. Range Trooper, I've seen people do Piet, but again, you might be using Piet for other things, like, for example, the Veers Imperial Troopers. Again, there are so many combos. We're like just scratching the general surface, and you can go really crazy into theory crafting. And it could be good or bad theory craft. Just because you theory craft doesn't mean it's always a good theory craft. These are just kind of your standard baseline teams. Now, Kelleran Beck, this is kind of a tough one. In 5v5, I feel like he plugs in very well in the Qui-Gon Jinn lineup, but in 3v3, it feels like it's best to have Qui-Gon with his usual duo with Anakin as well as Ki-Adi-Mundi, and you could create a separate team. And I think Ahsoka Tano is kind of one of those, at least in my neck of the woods, kind of a bit more out there, out and about. So this would be a great spot to use these Galactic Republic Jedi, get work done. You know, I really feel like Kelleran Beck, he excels a lot better at 5v5, and my gosh, in Territory Wars, he's still a troublemaker over there. We got everyone's favorite Admiral Trench. Sitting there, we're going to have a variety of different bounty hunter lineups that you're going to see from Aura Singh, ranging to something a bit more specific like the Fennec bounty hunter counter to Lord Vader. But otherwise, we're not going to see too much drastically different, especially if you're used to the 5v5 meta. It's mostly the same with some minor nuances, like, you know, you might have some leftover bounty hunters to put together both at Sign of Django and Zam. You know, Hondo's a funny little cheese thing. Just throw in Hondo, some scoundrels, get them up and running, and you can just supercharge us. This could be a cheeky little defense that can catch people off guard. Otherwise, not too much going on. And I know Sagar is probably going to have a very successful next couple Grand Arenas with the Datacron. Oh my gosh, a true. But again, we're not going to let that skew this that much, or else it'll get really confusing for those that aren't using Datacrons, which is probably most people in Galaxy of Heroes. Otherwise, that's pretty much going to be the quick summary of where we're at right now with the Grand Arena meta. For me, I'm keeping my eyes out on Bo-Katan. How is she going to fit in 3v3? Continuing to keep an eye on things like Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, as well as Terran Malicos. Very interesting characters in our neck of the woods. And of course, we're going to really keep our eyes out for those Datacrons. We have a very nutty Datacron set going on for the Rebels, the Mandalorians, as well as the Imperials. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about deflection. Let's not remember all that right now. Anyways, there'll be a link down below, as I said, to check this out yourself. Hopefully this is going to be helpful. I wish you guys nothing but the best in this 3v3 Grand Arena cycle we're going through. And don't worry, if you need to have a good time, I think we can have a pretty good time here. So in the meantime, leave that like, comment down below, subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And always remember, it's great to be in the Empire today.
Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.